it that way. faces formed together, made for elevation. And the soldier won't surrender. Faith is like a fire that never bursts to embers. The voice of the unheard. Love is the answer.
I gotta speak it, believe it, that's how I feel inside.
I can't sit here quiet.
You can take my heart, you can take my breath when you pry it from my cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. Can you hear me? Are you listening? Sleeping and the shadows could be making history. Through the fire, on the water, used to be a slave, but now you are a conqueror.
They can take my heart, they can take my breath when they pry it from my cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. We're rising up, rising up, we're rising up, rising up, we're rising up. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us.
That'd be good if I turned on my mic. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Straight Talk with Joe Vollano. Glad you are here this evening. For those of you who are new to the program or just tuning in, I am Joseph Vollano. I am your host and your guiding light through all the craziness that's going on in the city, state, and our federal government. We're here to expose it all and to make sense of as much of it as we can. This show always works best when you are a part of it. So if you would like to call in, 203-679-9610, that gets you into the studio. Or you can email us straighttalkjv@gmail.com. Or if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can always join the chat that's always going on. Seems pretty quiet so far. Usually it's a little bit busier than that, but I'm sure everybody will start filling in. So, again, you can always join the chat. It's always a good discussion going on there. I try to keep up with as much of what you guys are talking about as possible. But if I don't, I'll always usually correct it later on. So we have a lot to discuss today. Before we get into the, again, we're going to get into, one of the third rails of politics. One of the things that nobody ever wants to talk about, and of course that's race. So, and how that affects politics and how certain politicians and certain parties use it to try to create fear and keep control over certain parts of the population. But we'll get into that a little later in the program. As always, I always like to start with the campaigns on what's going on. It's been another exciting week. Remember, we're only 23 days away. It doesn't feel like it, but we are literally just 23 days away from Election Day. And for your city or town, that means a lot. It could really turn your city or town one way or another. Now, for me, I think Meriden going red. That's my opinion. But reading some of the articles coming out of the RJ, which, again, is a total rag of a paper, I was looking at they had two pieces in the paper, one on Area 4, one on Area 1. But then I also like reading the letters. And the letters are always, when I read the letters to the editor, which is usually in the opinion piece, I'm just reminded by how delusional some people are in this city. And I try not to mean that in a really that negative a way, but I mean, when we read some of these, it's going to take you back, and you're going to be like, what city or town have you been living in? Where the hell have you been? Some of it's just astounding. And I have to read, some of them I have to read 2 or 3 times to make sure I read it properly. Because then you really have that WTF moment, like, this is what we're up against. This is what we're up against. And it's gonna blow your mind. But I want to start in Area 4. Area 4 is a good race. It's the fire chief Ken Morgan versus city councilor Bob Williams. And I say it's a good race. One, because it's Area 4. Those are usually pretty tight races. It's pretty evenly divided down there. But like I said, when Bob Williams runs every time, voting goes up 10%, which is great for him because obviously people are coming out to vote for him. But I'm reading this article in the RJ, and 2 things caught me that really stuck out to me. One, they're trying to push Ken Morgan as a newcomer, which he's not a newcomer. And if anyone remembers, after Guy Scaife left, they made him acting city manager, and he did a fucking horrible job. Horrible job. He basically took everything that Guy Scaife did and just reversed it. All the great things that Guy Scaife did, like, I don't know, hold people accountable in City Hall and make them actually do their job, he reversed it all. Especially when he took back Juliet over at Economic Development. That was the biggest joke of it all. And that's when I knew that this man had absolutely no right and could never be let to run this city. At one point, he wanted to run the city and the fire department at the same time. They crave power. They need power because they want to be able to control everything, including you. Including you. So when they try to tout him as a newcomer, I'm sitting like, has everyone been freaking asleep? Was everyone asleep? I mean, did you notice that Ken Morgan did not get the fire union endorsement? Why is that? That should have been one of the first questions in here to Ken Morgan. Why come the fire department never endorsed you? This is a great question. I would love an answer to it. Hopefully the fire union will respond back and let us know. Why didn't they? If he's doing such a bang-up job. Now, to me, don't get me wrong. I always said it. Ken Morgan, I think, does a fine job at the fire department. But as a city manager, no. And as a city councilor, definitely not. But let's read that. So that was the one thing that caught out to me. Again, trying to push him as a newcomer. And the second one was the way he would have to recuse himself. And this is what they wrote. Would create conflict of interest concerning Morgan would have to recuse himself from these votes for the fire department, and the council votes separately on his proposed budget. So do they really think that as a city councilor, they can just cherry pick one piece of the budget out and vote on it separately? No, that's not the way it's done. So he could vote, because obviously if they kept the fire department budget in when they do the full passage of the budget, he wouldn't be able to vote because he's the head of a department that they're voting on. So what they're basically saying is that we're going to have to carve out the fire department, vote on everything else, and then vote on that separately. But that leads to 10,000 more legal issues. What happens if the city manager has to transfer funds around? Let me explain it this way. They give the fire department $5 million. That's their budget. Now the fire department needs $505.5 million. That means $500,000 got to come from somewhere. Now they voted on that proposed budget separately. How do you transfer money without being a legal issue? It would be, because it was voted on separately. It'd be like a separate budget. It'd be like passing a totally separate budget. There are so many issues with a department head being a city councilor. It's beyond explanation. He would need to retire from the fire department to be a city councilor. Now, most people sit there and go, oh, what about other people that work for the city? You can work for the city. Like I said, if I had my way, nobody would be able to work for the city. That's on the city council. But that's not the way it is. But there is a huge difference between being an employee of the city than being a department head of the city and usually acting city manager when the city manager is not around. I mean, does he want all three jobs now? I mean, he wanted two. Does he want all of them now? Does he want to be a city councilor, city manager, and be the department head all simultaneously? These are the type of things that they don't think about, but can lead to huge problems down the road. You can't have two separate budgets. You can't vote on two separate budgets. That's not the way it's done. That's not the way our charter is written. That's not the way it's written. And unless you want to go and open the charter, which, hell, I am all for. I'm with you, 110%. You want to open up the charter to make these revisions? I am 110% with you, because then we could change everything else along with it. Because remember, you open the charter up for one thing, it opens the entire charter up. Which, again, I am still for. Charter reform is a big issue for me. I think we need to change the way our government works. It is too difficult to make changes in the city, and it gives one side an opportunity, again, to be a one-party city for decades, like it's been now. That is not right. But that is a whole nother program altogether. So that's where I see the two issues I have with what's going on in Area 4 in the Area 4 race. Does he have the right to run? Yes. I've always said that. But if he wins, he has to commit to retiring. And I love how he said, this is the thing I love, is that he said, Morgan said it hasn't been much of an issue while out on the campaign trail. No crap, because you're sitting there, you're talking to Democrats. Of course it's not going to be an issue. They love it. They don't care about rules. They don't care about rules. They don't care about anything as long as it's benefiting them. That has been a standing practice, especially here in the city of Meriden. Rules do not apply to them. It only applies to everybody else when it's not benefiting them. Tell me where I'm wrong. Rules do not apply to them when it doesn't affect them. So that's the issues I have in Area 4. Then you have Bob Williams, who I said, he'll be here next Sunday. He'll be on the show next Sunday. Listen, he's been a strong advocate of public safety. In fact, he did receive the endorsement of the police department. Or the police union, I'm sorry. I don't want to say the police department as a whole. He did receive the endorsement of the police union. Rightfully so. He's a strong supporter of them. You know, when him and Joey Carabetta III, who's running in Area 2, when Joey was on, he was another strong advocate of public safety. So, I mean, that's going to be a good race. I think that's probably going to be the closest race out of all of them. I think it's probably Area 4. So if you live in Area 4, you better get up off your ass and make sure you go and vote. If you can't vote, make sure you vote absentee. So every vote counts. Every vote counts. So, and of course, the other big news of course, the big news of the weekend, or for the last couple of days that I've been hearing about, which I'm wondering why it came out now, other than maybe they did solidify the location, but Aldi's is coming to Meriden. Now, I've been hearing about this for about a year and a half now, and I know Joe Fess has been working hard to get this deal done, and kudos to him for getting it done. Apparently, they're going up into the old Savers up there across from Target and over by the mall. So they're going to be moving into the old Savers building. It's a great addition to Meriden. It's a great addition to the West Side. With them losing Stop and Shop, it's still, listen, Aldi's is not a replacement for Stop and Shop. Just make sure, I want to make that very clear. That is not a replacement for Stop and Shop. Aldi's is a great store, has the best pork chops you'll ever eat in your entire life. If you have not had Aldi's pork chops, I'm going to do a shameless plug here for them. They are freaking phenomenal. I don't know what it is. They taste different, but they are phenomenal. Aldi's pork chops, I live and die by them. And literally, they don't make it onto the plate half the time. Usually, I'm just eating them right out of the pan. I know they're just that good. So if you haven't had them, that's my tip for you guys to try out. But yeah, so I'm listening. I'm reading online. I'm reading all this because the mayor, of course, put it out there because he needs to put something positive out there. He has nothing else going for him. So he thought he'd jump on Joe Fess's coattails on this one and say, hey, look at the great things we're doing. Now look at the great things Joe did. But, and everyone's sitting there praising him. I was like, for what? He didn't do anything. But it is nice to see all these come. And I'm looking for great things. I can't wait to get there because, like I said, I'm going to go get myself some more pork chops, even though the one in Wallingford actually is probably closer to me. So, but you never know. I'll definitely try that one out because I like trying new places. So, and if it's in Meriden, I always like to do Meriden. So, I try to shop local as much as I possibly can. I try to do business with as many local companies as I possibly can. So, I always do enjoy using the Meriden companies. Yeah, I'm thinking it's not another storage unit also. There's so many damn storage units. Gail, I totally agree that we do need a real mayor. So, but Tony, what part did I lose you at? And you lost me. I wonder what part of that I lost you at. But maybe we'll find out. So let's see what else is going on in the paper today. So of course the letter, like I said, the letters always get to me. I love the letters, but I want to talk about the Area 1 race first because it kind of ties in with it and how delusional, and then I guess it's into what I consider our racial problem here in the city with some of our counselors. So Area 1 obviously is downtown. It's probably one of the most debated things on what we're going to do down there as you possibly can imagine. Even though, like I said, I think Democrats have screwed it up so much, there is nothing left to do down there other than to work from the outside in. Because I think they screwed this revitalization up so much that there is really there's no recovering from it unless you're planning on taking drastic measures as a city. And when I say drastic measures, I talk Derby 2005, 2006. And if nobody knows what I'm talking about, look up 2005, 2006, Derby, Connecticut, and what the city did via eminent domain to give all that property over to a developer, which eventually built absolutely nothing. So if you want to look at that, I'll let you guys look at that on your own. I'll discuss it briefly as the show moves on, because if it all feeds into what's going on downtown. But so Yvette Cortez is going up, who took over for Castro, is running against Norberto Gonzalez and what's his name? Richard Cordero, who is the Libertarian. And so I'm reading this this little puff piece from Mary Ellen on Area 1 and for Cortez. And some of the stuff just absolutely just blew my mind. This is the first thing that she wrote that is quoted from Cortez. Being involved in politics is the last thing I would ever be a part. I thought I would ever be a part of. I wish you weren't. Some of the most striking things I've learned about the city council has not been working on social equity, racial, or economic injustice. Now let's stop there for a second. Let's stop there for a second and think about what she just said. The council has not been working on these things. Does anyone know why they haven't been working on these things? Because there's never been a fucking problem. That's why, sweetheart. There's never been a problem. You have LaRue Graham. You have Castro. You had Sonia Jelks. You have Cardona. None of them ever brought this stuff up because it's never been a problem, sweetheart, until you got here. Until you and Sonia Jelks decided to take what's happening at national and try to bring it local. You're trying to create a problem that doesn't exist. That's why it hasn't been tackled in years, because it hasn't been a problem in years. If you get your head out of your ass a little bit, you would understand that. These are Democrats. These are Democrats that have run this city for over 30 years. You've never had a problem with it before. You've never mentioned it. None of these counselors, other than last year, have mentioned any of this. It's only after George Floyd and Black Lives Matter, all of a sudden, we have problems in the city. No, we don't. And you still, to this day, cannot give me a single statistic that proves otherwise. So you manufacture them in your head, and then you just spew them out as if they're fact. They're not fact. And you're usually nobody will usually go after you. Well, not here. I'll go right after you. Because I'm not going to let you sit there and put this great city, the city that I love and that I live in, I'm not going to let you drag them through the mud for your political gain or for your own personal benefit. Not going to happen. So that's the first ridiculous comment that she made. Of course, we all know that Meriden 1 classifies as high risks for everything, for basically everything in the world. Let's see her next quote. Here's one. So this was a statistic that they threw down. In Area 1, do you know, in Area 1, they had to mention that 48% of the 67 residents were not white. So they're saying it's a minority population. Okay. And they're saying 12% are single-family households. Okay. And 1 out of 5 residents live under the federal poverty line. Okay. So let's take those statistics at face value for what they are. And let's talk about what they decided to do in downtown. Now, knowing those facts that have not changed in many years, Why would you think that when you're going to revitalize a downtown and you're going to try to bring businesses downtown, when 1 in 5 are living in freaking poverty, which means they have no disposable income, would you think that putting affordable housing and Section 8 housing downtown was a good freaking idea? You knew those stats well before you built anything. Common sense would have told you that no business would survive down there. And as of course, as simple mathematics and simple economics are right, nothing has survived down there. And nobody will open anything down there. Which is why 24 Colony and most of Colony Street is empty. Is empty. But you knew those numbers. I mean, those numbers weren't hard to find. They're right there. They haven't changed. 1 out of 5 live in poverty. But hell, let's just move everybody downtown. We're going to revitalize and everything's going to be perfectly fine. Because we're just going to throw money at it, which really, you mean you're just going to throw grant money at it because you wanted more and more. And then if you look at the outside of downtown, 5% of residents live below the poverty line, which is why businesses thrive. If you wanted to do smart revitalization, you would have spread out the public housing. Now remember, Meriden is at 18%. 18% of housing is public housing, is affordable housing in Meriden. The guideline is 10. We are almost double that, and they're not done yet. And they're not done yet. They want to build more. And that's a horrible idea, especially if you live on the outskirts. Because I tell you what, you're going to take that 5% on the outskirts, and it's going to be up towards 10, 15% because you're going to get killed in taxes. Because when you bring in affordable housing, all your other social programs go up. And your tax base does not go up. Those are things people need to think about. Because if you let these Democrats run wild, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to have more and more affordable housing. You're going to be up towards 25, 30% by the time they're done. And you could just say goodbye to any economic growth in the city. Say goodbye. So it's really crazy to me. So another quote of hers. A whole lot of people of different colors in Meriden have been underrepresented on the council. Really? Because there are a lot of minorities on the council. So they're underrepresented. So basically, Jelks, you're not doing your job because you're the other counselor in Area 1. You've done a shitty job, apparently. Castro, one of the biggest proponents of illegal immigration. You did a crappy job, buddy. Sorry to let you know. So everything they're saying, everything they're criticizing themselves in. I mean, they are the best reason not to vote for them. They always contradict themselves. Remember, this has been run by Democrats for over 3 decades. And remember that. They've been in power for over 3 decades. So when we get to the letters of the editor, remember that. Because one of the letters is friggin' hilarious. And it just proves my point that they don't know, their voters have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. And it's scary because these are the people we're up against. These are the type of ignorant, naive comments that we are against. It's that bad. It's that bad. We're not running a race against people this election. We're running against the Democrat D, and we're running against stupid people. Because if they believe what they're writing, they're not dumb. They're stupid. I hate to say that bluntly, but they are, because it makes no sense. But we'll get into those. And then you got what? And then they started asking Mr. Gonzalez, who, again, a business owner here in Meriden for over 30 years. Business owner here in Meriden who has seen it all, who has struggled through it all, but is still here after almost 30 years. So if you're looking to revitalize something, someone like Norberto Gonzalez is the one you want in there, because he lives it on a daily basis. And he's right. Crime and blight is up. And we should hold those owners, those absentee landlords, responsible for making sure that their properties are up to snuff. You know, a lot's going to be talked about over the next couple of weeks about mill rates and property values and all that kind of good stuff. It's going to come up in the debates. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. It's going to come up. Why is our mill rate so high? We know why. Because our city council has done a shitty job at keeping the cities clean, keeping crime down. Because they encourage it. They encourage the nonsense. That's what the whole CRB is about. They don't want a city that has no peace. They thrive off of the chaos. And then they say it's the police department's fault as they sit there and try to handcuff them with this whole CRB crap. Which, again, every single person out there should be writing letters to the council. Vote on the CRB, the Civilian Review Board. Vote on it now. Why are you putting it off until after the election? I know why. You know why. Because it's a losing proposition for them. It's a losing issue. And if they were dare to let the old timers actually hear them say it, they would be killed in this election. They would be demolished in this election. They know it. I know it. You know it. But again, from reading the letters that are coming into the paper, it's crazy that there are a lot more people that don't know it. That don't know it. Have the vote. If you have the balls to turn around and say the police department has problems and you feel that strongly about it, then go ahead and vote. Let the people know where you stand. Do you believe in this or do you not believe in this? Or is this all one political stunt? I think Sonia Jelks and people like Cortez and Tomasetti, they're true believers in the nonsense. I think they're true believers. And I think if they had their way, they would push forward this vote. No doubt. No doubt. If they had their way, they would push through this. I think it's the other Democrats on the council that are saying, whoa, wait a minute. We're up for friggin' election here. We can't be putting our name on this. We can't put our name on this. We'll get killed. But we should all force them to take that vote. Vote on the CRB and put your money where your mouth is. Because I tell you what, if they win this election If Democrats win this election, CRB is coming, and a lot more along with it. A lot more. They're not ending there. Right now, they got just a review board. Give them another year, it'll be an investigative CRB with a budget of over $100,000. Because listen, they want what New Haven has. That's what they want. And anyone who doesn't believe that is being naive. They are true believers. True believers. And they are the most dangerous people in this city. Hands down, the most dangerous people in this city. So, of course, we'll get into what Cordero said, but I mean, that's just nonsense on what he said anyways. So I'm not going to bother. I'm not even going to bother getting into it. Cortez did have a little issue with people like myself. So she is obviously chairwoman of the American Rescue Plan, and Cortez is focused on the impact on the pandemic. She's been criticized, even called a racist, but is convinced that federal guidelines back her interpretation. So let me talk about her interpretation, because I'm taking it that's a shot at me, even called a racist, which she is a racist. If she believes in what she's trying to do, it is the textbook definition of being racist. Now, most people don't like to hear that, but it is what it is. So that is a textbook definition of it. So basically, she's saying infrastructure, race is part of that. Now, I don't know what fucking world she lives in or what dictionary she's reading, because I've looked it up in all of them. Nowhere in infrastructure, which is roads, bridges, buildings, does it say race is a factor in it, because infrastructure doesn't have a race. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what world she's living on in her head, but I think she's freaking delusional. And the fact that she believes what she says is just another reason why she should be nowhere near being chair of this committee. Nowhere. So that's where we left. That's where they left with this with this Area 1 race, which again I found very, very hilarious. So then I go to the letters, and it is one of my joys during the day to read the letters. I try to do it when I'm feeling a little down in the day. When I'm feeling a little down in the day, I sit there and like, how am I going to cheer myself up? And I say, you know what? I haven't read the letters to the editor today. And I go and I read them, because usually they're good for a good laugh. And these today they did not fail me. They did not fail me. They definitely put a smile on my face. So here's one. I appreciate seeing the words positively merited on all the Democratic yard signs. Most politics today are angry and divisive. Well, shit, who's starting it? Let's take that. This just shows me how uninformed this person is. Ramey Ferguson of Meriden. So if you're out there, Ramey, please, by all means, give us a call, because I want to talk to you about this letter that you wrote, because you're fucking delusional, sir, or ma'am, whatever the hell, whatever you are, whatever your pronoun is. You're delusional. Politics is divisive and angry because of Democrats. You basically called half the city racist. You basically threw the police department under the bus. Is that positively merited? They've wasted hundreds of millions of dollars downtown. Is that positively merited? You're criticizing each other back and forth without even knowing it. Well, you probably do know it, but you're too stupid of a voter to turn around and see what the hell is going on. Really? I don't get it. Is that positively merited? What does positively merited mean? Positively merited, where Section 8 housing is going to rule the world. Positively Meriden, where Democrats are going to create false impressions of what Meriden really is. Positively Meriden, where your city council leader sits there and casts aspersions upon your city. Positively Meriden, where we tell police you can't do your job because, I'm sorry, we don't allow people to sit there and question what minorities are doing because it might hurt their feelings. Positively Meriden. I always wondered, what does positively Meriden even friggin' mean? Positively Meriden, where we're going to waste your tax dollars on nonsense. Positively Meriden, where we're going to sink your property values. That's all that's happened. That's all that's happened. And if that's positively Meriden, I want no part of it. They could keep that vision for themselves. Far better, Meriden Democrats have been bringing people together in common purpose. Are you friggin' kidding me? Are you friggin' kidding me? You wrote that with a straight face, or you probably didn't write this. Someone else probably wrote it for you, and you just signed it. Far better, Meriden Democrats have been bringing people together in common purpose. What is that purpose, and where have they been bringing people together? Because it sure hell looks like they're trying to divide people. Everything they have done is to divide the citizens of Meriden based on race, ethnicity, and economic standing. That's all they've done. So again, whatever you are friggin' smoking, please send some my way because I want to feel like this. To face problems and solve them. What have they solved? Because everything that Cortez just mentioned has not been solved in 38 years, obviously, and under Democratic rule. Again, they are the best spokespeople for Republicans. They are. If you just read what they write, they are the best spokesman for why you should be voting Republican. Because anything they have touched, they have not fixed or they have fucked up even more than what it already was. And they say that amongst themselves. It's absolutely crazy. And people don't, again, they look for the uninformed voter. And that's who they target. That's who they target. That's who they need. They need the most uninformed voters to sit there and vote for them. And that's going to change this year. We're not going to allow that to happen. And then it went to thank you to the Democrat candidates for seeing the city seeing the best in our city. Democrats have earned our votes through effective, positive leadership. Positive leadership. Huh. Please tell me one thing that Sonia Jelks has said that's positive. Because last time I checked, she called our police department a bunch of racists. She said our police department has a use of force issue, which they don't. That's good, positive leadership. We had a city manager trying to clean up the city, and they threw him out on his ass because they were about to expose the corruption that is part of the city hall. Is that positive leadership? Maybe we just have two very different thoughts about what positive leadership is all about. Because I don't see that as leadership. And I think Mr. Ferguson or Miss Ferguson, whoever you are, I think you are delusional. I think you need help. And by all means, email me or call me because we need to talk. And I need to talk some sense into you. I don't know what planet you're living on, but it certainly isn't in friggin' Meriden. So it's just crazy to me. All right, here's the next one. Again, these bring smiles to my face, especially since I know who some of these people are. It cracks me up. Voters have a clear choice this election day. Democrat leaders promote a positive image of Meriden. Really? Where? Boost a genuine record of achievement and have responsible plans for the future. Really? Interesting. What are those plans? I would love to see them. So let's take the first one. Promotes a positive image of Meriden. So unless your version of Meriden is that we're racist, or that everything is hunky-dory and the roads look fine, you don't need to worry about nothing. If Section 8 is your game of choice, and that's where you want to live for the rest of your life, then I guess that's positive on that aspect. But if you own a home or own a business in the city, ain't much positivity coming out of that. Their opponents publicly tear down our city's reputation at every opportunity. Really? We rip down their reputation, the city's reputation. Really? That's interesting. Where, Mister? Where? Where? Where do we rip down the city's reputation? They're doing a fucking bang up job of that on their own. They don't need our help in that. They don't need our help in that and tearing down this city. They're doing a bang up friggin' job by themselves. And we wonder why nobody's coming here. We sit there and we celebrate like it's the second coming of Jesus that an Aldi's is coming to Meriden. That a Popeyes is coming to Meriden. Is that what excites you people? Is that what excites you people? It's fun. Devin, I'm glad you said that. Because you know what? Meriden isn't marketable to young families. They're not. And we have an opportunity with that rescue plan, but we'll do this a little later on, but they should be using some of that money in the rescue plan to be putting together a youth advisory board made up, I know this is going to seem a little far-fetched, made up of teenagers on what we can do in the city to help them and use some of that money to create something for them. Because you want to talk about underrepresented people living in the city? That's them. That's them. So yeah, we should be focusing towards them. Including your skate park. Okay. So that's the positive image that they're putting out. That apparently we're not. We have no significant accomplishments. I'm sorry, you guys run the city for 38 years. There's nothing much Republicans can do. So I don't even know where you even begin on that bullcrap. Because I tell you what, name me a significant accomplishment that Democrats have over the last 38 years. And please don't tell me that we have a beautiful park. Because that was paid for with freaking grant money. That would have happened under either party. Tell me what significant accomplishments that you have made. Can't say flooding downtown because it still fucking floods down there. You can't say business growth and economic growth because that hasn't happened. You could have tried with that nonsense of an article from a couple weeks ago with Meriden having the most businesses open. Yeah. Did you see how many friggin' closed? No, but they didn't want to talk about that part because that would have totally threw off the narrative of what they were trying to push. So that got them nowhere. So what accomplishments do you have? Here's an accomplishment that you Democrats have. You've torn this city apart. Here's another accomplishment that you Democrats have had. Our city looks like shit because you don't take care of blight. You have let absentee landlords run wild. Cortez mentioned it. I wasn't for the no parking on your lawn because the people don't have money to widen their driveway. What kind of nonsense is that? What kind of nonsense is that? When you park on your grass, it looks like crap. And the perception is the reality. Perception is reality. And that's again, goes back to the same issues with your so-called positive leadership at a city hall. If the perception is the reality and you're pushing the perception that the city is racist and has a police problem, what kind of reality does that create for somebody in their mind? Their perception is that we have an issue here and I'm not moving here. It's just crazy. But John, you know damn well that you have no accomplishments. And to make impossible promises. Like what? Here are the promises coming out of the Republican Party. All right, let's be perfectly clear. Here's the promises that are coming out. That they're going to support a strong public safety. Is that an impossible promise? They want to move the senior center down to the green and use rescue funds to pay for it. Giving back to our seniors who are the forefathers of this friggin' city. Is that impossible? That's not impossible. Holding absentee landlords accountable for their properties. Is that impossible? No, it's not impossible. It's very much possible. So, sir, tell me, what impossible promises have Republicans made? They haven't made any impossible promises. Do you know what impossible promises that Democrats gave us? Look at 24 Colony Street. Look at 24 Colony Street. That's an impossible promise that the Democrats gave to the people of Meriden. They promised that we would revitalize it downtown. But of course, us who knew just from basic math and economics, knew that was damn near impossible. You can't do it on the backs of affordable housing. It's been tried in many places. And it failed in every place. I even mentioned a couple of them during the debate back in 2017 and 15. That's an impossible promise that you Democrats gave to us. So I think you need, again, to be another one to get your head out of your ass and actually research before you type. But here's the problem, though. They don't care about what they type. They just put it out there. They just throw it out there. They say, hey, hopefully this shit sticks. Hopefully some idiot will believe it. But here's my favorite one. And this one gave me the biggest laugh. I'm probably going to screw up her last name. Justine Quinos? Quinos? And I pronounce it, and I spelt it out that way because I am hoping, I am praying that you are watching this show right now. And I am praying to God that you will ring this phone and come on the show and explain what the frig you are talking about here. I am praying. 203-679-9610. If you know her, please have her call this show right now because I would love to read along this one with her because it is breathtaking. Here we go. I have recently returned to Meriden after 15 years. Remember, she's only been gone 15 years. Democrats have held the city for how long? 35, or actually 38. Keep that in mind. I have recently returned to Meriden after 15 years, and I find it sad to see shuttered businesses and a lack of community gathering space. It's clear that funding across districts has not always been equitable. I support Cortez for council because she has consistently advocated for greater equality across the city. Area 1 district needs to be revitalized, more job opportunities, affordable housing, and places for people to gather. There is so much to be done, but Mrs. Cortez's track record and vision are what we need to make positive, equitable, and long-lasting economic change. Ma'am, you are fucking crazier than any person in the world. I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't know what you have been reading. I don't know where you've been walking, but every single thing you just put in this friggin' letter to the editor blew my mind. I can't believe that they actually posted. I can't even believe they put it in the paper. I really can't. I can't believe they didn't send that back to you because they're Democrats themselves. They're ride or die Democrats. The fact that they didn't send this back to you and tell you to go, you know what yourself, is beyond me. I don't know if this just slipped through the cracks or whatever. But this letter was absolutely friggin' amazing. And I would use that. If I was a Republican, I would take that letter. It was so good and put it into a postcard and send it to everybody with the whole thing with just one heading on the top. Democrats have run this city for 38 years. Read below. That's what I would do. Because it is friggin', this is like perfect. Seeing a shuttered up business and a lack of community. Obviously, she hasn't been down to the green. I don't know when she recently got back. She must have wrote this letter like the first day back and never been downtown. That's the only explanation for it, is that she never saw downtown. Because lack of community gathering space. I mean, isn't that like the one thing the Democrats push, the green? Their precious award-winning green. I mean, they push it every day. And the fact that 15 years to see shuttered businesses, again, Democrats have run this thing for 38 years. She is telling you exactly why you need to vote Republican. This could be like this could just turn us around. This could be a Republican letter to everybody. It's just unbelievable to me. Area 1 needs to be revitalized, more job opportunities, affordable housing, and places for people to... Affordable housing? Woman, we are up to... We replaced 112 or really 200 and something, and replaced it with over 500. With over 500. We need more affordable housing? Are you what? I can't even comprehend where these people are coming from. More job opportunities. There are no jobs coming here. There are no jobs coming here downtown. Like I said, you have to work on the outskirts. It is absolutely crazy to me. Absolutely crazy to me. I just, and I love this. Cortez's track record and vision. What is her track record? Her track record since she's been in the city council has been racial divide. She has accomplished that. Well, she has attempted to. Her, Jelks, Tomasetti, you got friggin' dumbass LaRue Graham. Yeah, they've tried to divide us. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We are going to rise. We will rise above it. But that's her track record. That's her vision. Her vision is to give away money based on the color of your skin and not the needs of the city. That's her vision. So if that's your vision for what you want to see Meriden, then me and you just have a totally different vision of what Meriden is. Meriden is not a racist city. We all live here in peace and harmony. It's the very few crazy lunatics like the one you're trying to give an endorsement to that is trying to destroy this city. That's her track record. It's unbelievable that the Record Journal actually printed that. Somebody was asleep. Because she just gave you every sentence of that on why you need to vote Republican. And I thank you, Justine. I thank you for that letter. I thank you for it. I thought it was great. Gave me a chuckle. But it makes me sad. It makes me sad that there are people like you out there that are going to cancel out my well-informed vote. When obviously you don't have a friggin' clue on what you're talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're up against. There it is. That is what we're up against. We got 23 days. We got 23 days to save Meriden. We have 23 days to make sure our city is not destroyed. If we let these crazy far left liberals, again, I'm not going to cast aspersions on the entire Democratic Party. I know a lot of Democrats. I love Democrats. I know a lot of them that are moderates that are not for what's going on. Which is why I say, I hope they keep talking this way. I hope Jelks and Cortez, I pray that they keep talking the way they're talking. Because it's only going to destroy them. And I am never for getting in the way. I am never for getting in the way of letting Democrats destroy themselves. Right, the only issue I have with the old Wells Fargo's bank is I would be for that if they connected that to the green. Just because of the fact you don't have enough space in the back. You don't have any space for bocce and for other things to do over there. That's why the best place to put the new senior center would be where they were going to put the other apartment building. That'd be the perfect place to put it. That would be my suggestion for the council for senior center. Because listen, the seniors deserve a new senior center. If anyone's been to the senior center, it's a freaking disaster. You could house the health department with the senior center right there across from the Kennedy building. It's the perfect spot. You could have some outdoor activities, some bocce courts, stuff like that, and then a quick walk across the street in a safer street than trying to cross East Main Street. You could go right over to the green for events. And most of them live down there anyways. So it's just a win-win. And we have the money with this rescue plan that we can finally do something for our seniors. Because the seniors deserve it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But looks like it's past the 8 o'clock hour. I can stay here all night and discuss this craziness. And we didn't even really get into the whole race of politics, which I really wanted to get into, which we're going to have to get into. Because, again, that's what this is all about. I mean, at the end of the day, this election is about two things. One, public safety. Public safety. This is what this whole thing is about. Public safety and where you see our police department in the future. And two, it's about them trying to divide us via race, religion, ethnicity, and all that kind of nonsense. Because they need to do that to control. They need you to hate somebody. See, here's the thing with Democrats. In order for you to want to vote Democrat, you need to be a victim. You're a victim of the police department. You're a victim of economic standings. You're the rich man. You're a victim of the white man with their whole racial equity. I'm sorry, we don't live in those years anymore. We don't live in those years. We haven't been like that in many decades. This city is phenomenal. This city lives in peace and harmony. Do we have some issues? What city doesn't? But we certainly don't have racial issues in this city. And Cortez said it herself. These issues have never been tackled because they haven't existed. You're manufacturing them. This is what this election is all about. And I tell you what, do you know what this election comes down to? Old school Democrats. This election comes down to old school Democrats finally saying enough is enough. Our police department are great. Our police department tries hard. Our police department is very diverse racially. It's a very racially diverse police department. Everything they have keep coming after makes no sense because there's no facts to go behind it. They are just trying to make names for themselves and play political games. You don't play political games with public safety. You just don't do it. That's what this election comes down to. But in order for Democrats to win, they must racially divide us. And we cannot let that happen. It hasn't been happening before. We can't let it happen now. And we will have another show on this. I could go on for another hour easy. Democrats need you to be a victim. You are not a victim. Nobody here is a victim of anything other than themselves. You can do whatever you want in this great country. You have the opportunity, which is the only thing you're afforded, is an opportunity, not equal outcome, just equal opportunity. What you make of that opportunity decides what you do with your life. It's easy to blame people. It's easy to say, hey, because I'm a minority. It's easy to say, hey, because I'm poor. I grew up poor. I've been poor. I've been rich. I've been poor. I've been well off. I've been poor again, and now I gotta say I'm well off. It's always what you make of it, and never giving up. That's what makes this country so great. That's why I support safety nets. That's why I support welfare. I support unemployment benefits. I support food stamps to a certain point. Because listen, those are the type of things you get when you freaking try. It's okay to fail. It's okay to fail. That's what safety nets were designed for. But this country was made great because people did try. People did try. The most successful people in this country are on their 10th, 12th, 15th, 100th try. You can do anything you want as long as you put the effort into it. So you're no victim. There are no victims in this country when it comes to the opportunity. You're only victim. You're only able to play victim is if you busted your ass and you got screwed. And I tell you what, government tries to screw us all the time. But you don't let it. You just keep pushing forward. don't let Democrats trick you into being a victim, because they're only doing it for their only self-preservation. Democrats are only trying to make you a victim so that they can get power over you. That's the only reason. Because when they say they're going to give you something, it means they're taking control over you. In order for them to give you something, they need to take something from you, which is freedom of choice. Don't ever let that happen. And we'll have to get into this more at another time. Guys, I always thank you for listening. If you knew any of those people that wrote those letters, please reach out to them. Please have them email me. I need to have them on the show. I need to know what world they're living in. It's breathtaking, some of the things that are written. And I need to dig into their brain to find out what the hell is going on in there. Because maybe by seeing how they're thinking, maybe we can help others break out of that. But until next time, we'll see each other again on Thursday. Until next time, I love you all. As always, God bless you, God bless this city, and God bless this amazing country of ours. It is the last stand on earth. I love you. See you guys next week or on Thursday. I love you, and good night.
And a million faces formed together, made for elevation. And the soldier won't surrender faith. Is like a fire that never burns to embers. The voice of the unheard.